Hey everybody, KC here. So, last week, you may remember, I was in Monterey, California for the annual Organic Produce Summit. Just a terrific show. And the education stuff is great. The exhibit floor is terrific. Just a lot of energy, as befits that particular segment of the industry. And one of the things I was doing out there is as part of the keynote presentations, I was facilitating a conversation with two retailers talking about organic produce. And one was Robby Cruz, who's the VP of Produce at Target, and the other was Patrick Haines, who's the VP of Produce at UNFI. And so what I'm going to do for the rest of this week in FaceTime, I'm going to break up that conversation into a series of smaller segments so they're a little bit more accessible. And hopefully you find the information that they share and their attitudes towards organic produce to be really, really interesting and really informative. So anyway, this is part one, and we start out by talking about where their companies are tracking, how their companies are tracking in comparison with national organic produce figures. Enjoy. So in 2023, as I understand the numbers, organic produce sales were up 1.6%. Volume was down just a tiny bit, 0.1%. That I think we're seeing inflation work there. At the same time, conventional produce pretty much tracked along the same way. Sales were up 1.9%. Volume was up 0.1%. So it was pretty much flat. So let's start here. I'm curious, how do your company's numbers and trends sort of track with what was going on in the broader industry during 2023. Robby?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I would say, Kevin, we're a little bit opposite of what that was there. So when you look at our sales mix of organic sales, we've grown 200 basis points over every year for the last 3 years. And so 1 out of every $5 right now at Target in produce is spent on an organic item. And so we're continuing to see what that trend is looking like as it continues to grow. One of the big things that helps us out is, like, when you think about our digital platform, our guest actually is buying more organics on the digital platform than they are actually within our store, which is interesting. The apple category, 1 out of every $4 is an organic apple that is bought on the digital platform. And if you think about the banana category, actually 33% of our sales of bananas is actually sold as organic. And so we're continuing to see that grow. We're going to see it as we continue to move forward. And we look at the assortment that we have in our stores and figure out how do we integrate organics more within to the conventional platform.
Odd. And the stores, they're saying, gee, how can we do as well in organic produce as they're doing online, which is not usually the conversation that takes place.
Yep.
Patrick, how about at UNFI?
Yeah, hi. Again, good morning. Good morning, Kevin and Robby. At UNFI, we operate mostly on a wholesale basis, and our numbers track pretty close to what you said as far as the industry. We are seeing definitely like some high points within the organic industry part, because we serve a wide variety of customers, and a good portion of those customers are what I would say are very organic forward. In some cases, cooperative grocers that have 100% of their product is organic. They're seeing very good activity in those stores, as well as other retailers that are very high end or have other organic, very much organic forward activities. So those retailers are doing well with the organic, and we're seeing that. On the other side, we're seeing with more of the conventional groceries, we're seeing a strong interest in making the organic more visible. I think maybe 2 years ago, UNFI introduced Wild Harvest as a way of branding some of the organic products. We've been expanding that supply and expanding the line. And a good number of our retail customers that are in the more conventional space have really started to focus on putting that in. We've gotten several new customers over the last just 6 months, who have turned that into a focus as well. So we're not seeing like a huge increase, but we are seeing some good momentum in the organic category.
I want to circle back to how you talked about your numbers. It's actually a one-word question, and it's a question that I'm sure you're thinking about as he talks about those numbers, and every retailer in the room is talking about. Why? What are you doing differently that's driving that kind of traffic sales, both online and in the store, making organic, working against the national numbers? You must be doing, there's got to be a secret sauce that you're bringing to it.
Yeah, let me tell everybody the secret sauce.
You won't tell, will you?
But
there's got to be a why that's not proprietary.
There is. I would say, when you look at our digital sales, it's probably a little bit higher than most other retailers that are out there. And so you have a different avenue to be able to bring organic product to life on our platform. And so I think you'll significantly see a difference of how we present organics versus conventional on that digital platform. And then if you think about just the guest at Target, it's a younger demographic guest that we have. That guest is looking to have more as food as medicine. And so they want that transparency. And they're telling us through insights is that they want to see more organics within our stores.
Yeah. It's interesting that the story you're telling is resonating with your customer. Equally interesting that your retail customers, the ones who are telling the story better, are actually having more of an impact than the ones who aren't telling the story. There was just a piece in the New York Times a couple of days ago. I referenced it this morning on Morning Newsbeat, and it asked the question. The question was, is organic produce worth the higher price? Spoiler alert, the Times, after spending, 800 to 1,000 words, their conclusion was, maybe it depends. So all the news fit to print, let me tell you. I love the Times, I shouldn't pick on them. Anyway, but what that says to me is that even after all these years, the story of organic produce is not being told well enough, so that question continues to come up. So I would ask both of you, and this is something you're trying to communicate to your retailers, especially the ones who are not particularly doing a good job in organic. How do we tell the story more effectively? Because I know at the e-commerce session that took place at 8 o'clock this morning, storytelling was almost all of it, everything they talked about.
Yeah. I got a chance in the last couple of days to view and visit some really nice farm operations close by too. And as I've come to work with UNFI and I see the legacy of like Albert's Organics and NorCal and the whole United Natural Foods team, I'm learning more and more myself and educating myself more about what's entailed here in this organic space. And the New York Times article kind of hinted at this, or talked about it some, was that I think for a conventional retailer and a very conventional customer who's at an entry point of the organic means something specific about the fruit or the vegetable. As you get more integrated and as you get to know the category more, and as they interviewed the scientists and others, the aspects around regenerative farming, taking care of the soil, taking good care of the people who are working on the farm, and with specific respect to not having so much exposure to pesticides and things, that all becomes a very inclusive discussion of what is meant by organic. I think the millennials, the Gen Z people get it, they understand it, they know it. I think a lot of other people need to be educated more. Just in the discussions we've had in preparation for this, has helped me kind of identify a very large gap in what we can provide to some of the retailers to help them communicate to their customers, to get them moving farther along that track of understanding. Because the more you know, the more you want organics.